So I've set up the network as it is now, and I need to allow this router to give them IP addresses. Now, possibly it could be that I want this network to be so possibly I want this network to be 192.168.1.0 network. Then this one is 192.168.2.0 network. Fine. So that means this network is different, is my network 1.0. Let's say this one, another network. So I'm done here. So these are different networks that I have, and I want rather to give them IP address. Now, this interface on the router is Giga Ethernet 0/0/0. So let me go there. But before I go there, what's supposed to be the gateway? What's the IP address of this place? Since this network is 192.168. Look at it, 192.168.1.0. That means the gateway of this network is this place. So the gateway is supposed to, under best practice, is supposed to take the first valid IP address, which is supposed to be 192.168.1.1. So let me go and give it that IP address. I hope you can see my screen, what I'm trying to type.
Please, your screen is freezing and your voice too. The network is really bad. I'm not following.
Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. Let me check my network. My network is fine. I think my network is fine. Okay, so maybe it's my system. My system is actually hanging. So my gateway is Giga Ethernet 0/0/0. So if I'm going there, let me go and configure it. This is my user mode. So I am on the privilege mode now. Then configure terminal. This is where I'm supposed to configure. So I'm going to the interface, Giga 0/0/0. Enter. The IP address is supposed to be 192.168.1.1.255.255.255.0. So I'll now say no shutdown to it. It's no shutdown. Shutdown. So if you can see my screen now, the interface is up now. So I want to check this interface now is Giga Ethernet 0/0/1. Since it is connected to this network 192.168.6.2.0. So that is this gateway is supposed to be 2.1. So let me go to the interface. I'm exiting. I'm going to interface 0/0/1. Enter. IP address is supposed to be 2.1. I'm not saying no shutdown. No shutdown. So the interface is up now. Interface is up now. So I need to configure the DHCP for these people. I can call these people, let's call these people sales, for instance. Let's call them sales. This one, let's call these people production, for instance. This is sales. This is production. So let me configure IP address or DHCP proof for people in production. So I am now on global mode. So the command is ipd DHCP pool. Let me say for people in sales, their network is supposed to be 192.168.1.0. 255.255.255.0. That's a network. Then the default router is supposed to be 192.168.1.1. That's the first valid IP address, and that's their gateway. That's what I need to do. Now, maybe if I need DNS server, maybe let me have DNS server as 192.168.1.2. Then my DNS server will be 1.2. I am done here. So I'm exiting. So let me configure for production. IP DHCP pool. Let me call it production. So their network is supposed to be 2.0. 2.0. So their default router is 2.1. That's the first valid IP address. Let them use the same DNS server. That's all. So I'm exiting. Sorry. So I am exiting. Let me exclude IPDHCP excluded IP address. Let me exclude IP address from 192.168.1.1 till 192.168.1 dot say till like 4, and also exclude.
Sorry, why not put 196.168.1.0? Why not start from dot zero? That's the network
As on this particular one,
IP.
I'm excluding.
Yeah,
No, I'm trying to
like
where
you're starting from .1.1.
I'm trying to exclude IP addresses. I'm trying to say, that this the pool for production. When this router wants to give IP address, you're going to give this IP address of this pool. No, this IP address will start from 2.1, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4,
Yeah.
2.5 till 2.254.
Okay.
Now, if you remember the DORA, DHCP, discover, offer, and all of that, offer, request, and acknowledgement. When it sends an offer, that is the pool of IP addresses, 2.1 till 2.254, the system can choose any IP address. Now, me as a network engineer, I know that system are not meant to choose 2.1 because I have already assigned 2.1 to my gateway. So it's going to be wrong, or going to be, the network will start misbehaving if someone chooses 2.1, or if someone chooses like on this page, if someone chooses 1.2, I am meant to assign this into my server. So it's wrong to me. I don't want someone to choose this. So I'm not saying that the DHCP address that the router is supposed to exclude is between 1.1 to 1.4. So it's not going to offer 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4. So it's not going to offer it because I personally want to use this range. Of course, I've used
Okay.
1.1.
I get it.
I've used one of my
Yeah.
gateway and all of that. So the same way I excluded here. So I finished the configuration. So if you go to the systems, I just click the system now. I go to the desktop
You didn't save
here.
it.
Sorry?
You didn't save your configuration.
No, I didn't save. I am online, and if I save, no, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's on RAM. So if I save it, you go to be on the NVRAM, but you see on RAM is working. So I click on the DHCP, it's going to request for IP address. You see that it has gotten. So the IP address of this system is 1.5. You see that it starts from, I excluded 1.4, 1.1 to 1.4. So this one took 1.5, see the gateway, see this, and the DNS. If I click on this particular one, go to desktop, this, request for IP address, it will get this one 1.6 and everything. So I click on this particular one, desktop, that DHCP, This one has gotten. If I go to the other network, which is to production network, if I click on it, go to desktop, click here, see DHCP, it has gotten. This one, this, that. So everything that I've stated, 2.6, this is subnet mask, this is the gateway, it's using the same DNS server. And also this one. So I don't need to check all those things. So what happens is that whenever someone needs an IP address, like this PC3, if you need an IP address, you're going to ask, I hope you can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So if this PC3 now needs an IP address, you're going to send a DHCP discover. It will now go and hit the router. Router will now make offer to it. It will now choose one IP address. It will now say, can I take 1.6? This one say yes. Okay, you should acknowledge you've taken that. So I'm not going to give another person the same offer again. So that is how DHCP obtain of DHCP IP address obtainment works. Now that is when I have my server, my router as DHCP, as a DHCP router, DHCP server, for instance. So let me bring a route. Okay, not now. Now, another thing I want to talk about is DHCP, making this router a DHCP relay agent. Now, how do I mean by DHCP relay agent? Let me have another network. I have router like this, and I have switches. This is my, come on, I have switch. Come on, I have switch. Then my PC, for instance. So here to my Giga Ethernet, here to the Giga Ethernet, here to the Giga Ethernet, here to the Giga Ethernet, this to that, to any place. So I have to. So assuming that this is what I have. Now, I don't want router to be the DHCP server. I want to have my own server. So in that case, I just go online, I'll download a server. I use download application, DHCP application. If I download it online, then I install it. Then assume that I've installed it. Let me go and open one. Assume that the one I install is DHCP. This is what I installed online. You can see this, Abi. So now the way it's going to work is that if I make this guy DHCP relay agent, if this PC now, PC6 needs an IP address, you're going to ask, it's not going to ask the router. Router will now ask the server. Server will now respond to the router. Router will now respond to the PC. So that is what we refer to as making router DHCP relay agent. DHCP relay agent. Router is not going to be the DHCP server. It's going to be relaying it to the server. Now, how do you configure router to be a DHCP relay agent? It is simply done by coming. It's simply done by making the interface of the router to point to the server. I think I better go straight and do it here. Let me just do it here straight away. See this interface, Giga Ethernet 0/0/0. Let me go and configure the interface. So the interface is among enable then configure terminal. So the interface is actually G0/0/0. I'm on an interface. Assume that the interface address is 192.168.1.1. Of course, here I want these people to be, let's assume here, let's say here this network is supposed to be 192.168. Let's say dot 4.0. Then here should be 192.168.5.0. Then assume that I want to just to fill up this. So this network is that. So this network is that. And down here, this network is this. For instance, maybe I have this. Let me call this network. Can we call here? Say finance department. This one is what department can we call this one? Say warehouse. For instance. So this is finance department. This is warehouse department, and this is IP address I want these people to have. This is IP address I want these people to have. So I've gotten to this interface G00. So G00 is there. The IP address is the valid IP address. The first IP address is supposed to be 4.1.255.255.255.0. I say no shutdown. The interface is on. So the only way I need to make, this router a relay agent is on this interface G00. The only way I need to make interface is I just need to type IP helper address. IP helper address. That's just that. I now point to the server. Maybe the server is a 4.254. So 4.254 is the IP address of the server. This is the only thing that makes this router a relay agent. So I am actually pointing to the server. The IP address of the server is this. So if I press enter, that's all. So the server, let me give server IP address. IP address of the server is say 192.168.4.254. My gateway is 192.168.4.1. Maybe my DNS is the same server, for instance. So that's in my server now. So the same thing here. This interface is a Giga Ethernet 0/0/1. Let me go there. So I'm exiting from this one. So I'm going to interface 001. Enter. IP address is supposed to be 192.168. That network is what? 5. Okay. 5.1.255.255.255.0. I say no shutdown. So I now point to the same server IP helper address. The server's IP address is 192.168.4.254. It doesn't matter whether it's on the same network. So I've pointed to the server. That is all. That's all you need to make that as DHCP server. So if this guy needs IP address, you're going to ask the router, the gateway. Gateway will now going to ask the server. Server will not give it. It will not give this guy. But on the server, I need to configure DHCP on the server. See the DHCP. So DHCP, the pool name is server server pool. So the gateway is 192.168.4.1. The DNS is 192.168.4. The server itself is the DNS. So the starting IP address is 192.168.4. Let me start with dot 2 because dot 1 is for the gateway. So maximum user 255 and all of that, whatever thing you need and all of that. After that, I say save. So that's my information. So I need to create another pool. Every time I need to put the service on, another pool for production. The one I created is for sales. Let's say for production. For packet tracer, this pool is supposed to be on the particular place, the network where the server stays. So I'm creating another pool for production. So the IP address, the gateway starts from 5.1, and the DNS service, see the same DNS service. You start counting from 5 or 5.2. After that, I now add. See that I have two networks. So fine, I've finished configuring. So let this guy get IP address. Go to desktop, this. If you click on this, it will get IP address. You see that it has got an IP address. The same goes for this. You go to desktop, click DHCP, they get IP address. And the same thing, this is where you do it in real life to just download application, configure it, then configure your router the same way. You see, this one I got on 5.2. These people are on 4. This one is on supposed to be on 4 dot something. 4 dot something. DNS and everything, they are all there. So this is how to configure your router to be the DHCP delay. Delay means that it's not the one offering the IP addresses. It's only get it from server. So when you request to the router will now go and ask the server will now give the router will now give the person. So the router is now a DHCP delay agent. How do you configure it? It's only this command on interface. You point to the server IP address. Of course, it's not a server, you have to give the server IP address yourself. All servers do have static IP addresses. So this command alone makes the router relay agent IP helper address, whatever IP address you gave your server. So you're going to be requesting that from that server. So that's just what it is. So if you have any question, you have like 6 minutes before you want to go and come back. Do you have any
Yeah,
question? Okay.
please.
Please, can you repeat the DHCP configuration on the server?
Okay. Look at it. See the server. I open a server. I go to services. This is just packet tracer. It could be different when you download the application.
Yes.
So on the packet tracer,
Yes.
you first of all see server pool. On the server pool,
Yes.
don't change this. For packet tracer, don't change this.
Okay.
And this server pool supposed to be the network where the server resides. See this server, you see my server. Server is on
Yes.
network 192.168.4.0.
Okay.
So on that, this one will now be the name of the network where the server is staying. So that is why, and the gateway is 4.1. That's the gateway 4.1. DNS server is the same server IP address. So this one is starting IP address. I started with 192.168.4.2. I didn't start with 4.1 because I have gateway as 4.1. Of course, my subnet mask is this 255.255.255.0. After that, I save if I am on server pool. But another time, I'm going to add. Like now, I am on production. This production, the name, that's my pool name. Then the gateway is this. Of course, the server is still the same 4 point something. My starting IP address is supposed to be 192.168.5 and starting with 5.2. Subnet mask is this, that, and that. If you need more network, you put it, you add. Like that, you'll be adding. You can have as many network as you have, as you can, as possible. So that's that for DHCP and DHCP pool. If you
Okay, please, my question.
okay.
You've been saying something about DNS server. I don't know. Have you taught us DNS? Because it's new to me.
Okay. DNS is, I'll still talk about that later on. I don't know whether I have 4 minutes can do that. DNS is if you have a DNS, like for instance, if I'm not sure 4 minutes can do that. If I want to ping this IP address is what 4.2. Abi? This one is let me ping 4.2. I go to here, I go to command prompt and now say ping 192.168.4.2. If I ping it, it's supposed to respond. Timeout. It's not responding now. If I ping it again, it's responding. Now, if I don't want to be using the IP address, maybe this system, I can decide to call it PC6. I just go here, go to DNS server, put it on. I'll just say PC6. Anytime you call PC6, it means IP address of 192.168.4.2. I add it on the DNS. That's just all. So that I don't need to know the IP address of that place. I just need to call the name. If I say ping PC6, it will start responding. Because DNS will interpret that name to an IP address.
Sorry, I didn't see that. So I think the thing got soaked. Your system got freezed.
Okay. I said DNS is just used to map IP address with a name. Now, for instance,
okay.
This IP address now is 4.3. If I want to ping 4.3, I just say ping 4.3.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I'm just giving an instance. Yeah, it's responding, but I don't like knowing the names. Maybe I'm not accustomed with knowing all the IP addresses, and I want to be using the systems and all of that, and I just want to give them names. So I just have a DNS server. Just go online, download a DNS application. In it, you go to look like something like this. I'll give any system a name. Let me call system. Let's call admin. Admin. I give the admin as 192.168.1.4.say3. I add it. So I don't need to be, if I want to ping 192.168.4.3, I don't need to know the IP address. I just call the name. Ping admin. I have DNS. They have to interpret it. I've already created it in DNS server. But if you ping any name,
that configuration was done under your server.
Yes. So, and if I
DNS is done on that server.
Yes.
Okay.
It must not be. Server is just a system that has application running on in it. So, and for it to work, you must have a DNS server. Can you see here? If you don't have DNS server in your IP configuration, it won't see it. So, in your configuration, so there's supposed to be a DNS server in it. So, if anything you configure on a DNS server, you are mapping IP addresses with names. Anytime you want to use that name, the DNS server will interpret that name with IP address. I'll come back to server later on. We'll take time to talk about server later on, full time. So this is all about this. One will soon shut down, and we'll come back again. I don't know how long you want to take us to come back again. So, that's that for DHCP. We have DHCP on the DHCP server on the router and DHCP delay agent. I'll just configure the two. This one is for server. This one is for relay agent. So I expect that we should do now this one as assignment. It was only one person that did DHCP before, but now I want the two. Do it and send to the chat group and show me the running configuration if it's working.